civilians.
That's
well, they're
estimated by Israel, but okay.
Okay, but there are different figures put out. But let's assume it's in that ballpark. Okay.
No.
Well, okay, but
you can say that.
Here's my point. It's not 2 million people, which Israel.
But that's not the definition of genocide.
Well, isn't it?
No. The Genocide Convention doesn't say you have to kill everyone. By the way, you said this to Bassem Youssef, our good friend, last week on the show. You said, well, I want to read you exactly what you said. Israel hasn't nuked Gaza, quote, they could have done. They haven't done that. If you're really genocidal, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
But Russia has the ability to nuke Ukraine too. Russia has the biggest stockpile of nuclear warheads in the world. So why hasn't Russia? So Russia's not doing a genocide?
No, I don't think they are, and I shouldn't have said that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in order to defend Israel, you're withdrawing your allegation against Russia?
Yeah, because you made me think about it. I didn't remember that I'd used that word in relation to...
But it's not just Russia.
No, because...
You've said it.
Watch him take it back. Live. On camera. I shouldn't have said that. This time the tables are turned. Piers Morgan is the guest, sitting across from Mehdi Hasan on Mehdi's own show. And Mehdi does something almost nobody gets to do to Piers, makes him answer for his own words. Piers has called Syria a genocide, Burma a genocide, Ukraine a genocide. Gaza? Not a genocide. So Mehdi asks the obvious question. Why is the self-described uncensored guy suddenly so careful the second Israel comes up? Watch what happens. Piers doesn't just dodge. He walks back Ukraine, live, rather than budge an inch on Israel. That's just the first trap. Because then Mehdi pulls up Piers' own October 2023 tweet. 40 babies killed, some of them beheaded. Still live, months later, uncorrected. Piers claims he already walked it back. Mehdi shows the receipt. Piers' response? Accuse Mehdi of defending Hamas. Then it happens a third time, on Trump. General after general calling him a fascist. Piers' answer, every time. I don't think he's a fascist. Not one reason. Just the assertion, on repeat. If you're tired of watching someone brand himself uncensored while flinching at the exact same two subjects every time, subscribe to The Honest Perspective. We watch the pattern, not just the moment. I'm Neil. This is The Honest Perspective. 3 times isn't a coincidence. It's a policy. Let's get into it.
Why are you perfectly happy to call what Russia is doing in Ukraine a genocide, but not what Israel's doing in Gaza when there are fewer civilians, far fewer kids killed in Ukraine than in Gaza, arguably way less genocidal rhetoric from the Russian government than we hear from the Israeli government? Why are you so uncensored on Russia but not on Israel? What are you afraid of?
I actually thought when you first jumped me with that, it was a good point. I hadn't realised I'd used the word genocide in relation to what was going on in Russia. And I did go away and think about that quite carefully. Because you've got to be careful about the word genocide. The word genocide is where you deliberately exterminate a group of people based on ethnicity. And the reality about, let's take Gaza first of all. If Israel actually wanted to get rid of everyone in Gaza, they have the military power to do that. They have nuclear weapons. They could just nuke Gaza, as some of them, I suspect, would quite like to do. They've got some massively right-wing headbangers in that government, Ben-Gvir, Smodrich and others, who I suspect wouldn't hesitate to wage a form of genocide. So I accept that completely. But the reality is that there are 2 million people in Gaza, of which, depending which estimate you want to believe, but the official records from the Hamas-run health authority, there are about 45,000 people have died, of which it is estimated that around 15 to 20,000 are Hamas, and the rest are civilians.
That's
they're
estimated by Israel, but okay.
Okay, but there are different figures put out. But let's assume it's in that ballpark. Okay.
No.
Well, okay, but
you can say that.
Here's my point. It's not 2 million people, which Israel.
But that's not the definition of genocide.
Well, isn't it?
No. The Genocide Convention doesn't say you have to kill everyone. By the way, you said this to Bassem Youssef, our good friend, last week on the show. You said, well, I want to read you exactly what you said. Israel hasn't nuked Gaza, quote, they could have done. They haven't done that. If you're really genocidal, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
But Russia has the ability to nuke Ukraine too. Russia has the biggest stockpile of nuclear warheads in the world. So why hasn't Russia? So Russia's not doing a genocide?
No, I don't think they are, and I shouldn't have said that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in order to defend Israel, you're withdrawing your allegation against Russia?
Yeah, because you made me think about it. I didn't remember that I'd used that word in relation to...
But it's not just Russia.
No, because...
You've said it about many people.
Well, okay, so...
You said Bashar al-Assad in 2012, 1 year into the civil war in Syria, when the death toll was much lower than Gaza. You said it was a genocide. You said the Rohingya in Burma...
Well, that's interesting.
Hold on. You said Rohingya in Burma.
Answer.
I'm finished my question, then you answer.
Okay.
You said the Rohingya in 2017, far less death toll in Burma, is a genocide. So I look at Piers Morgan and I say, here's this uncensored person, very bold, outspoken, opinionated man. He says Syria's a genocide. Burma's a genocide. Ukraine's a genocide. Israel? No, it's not a genocide.
Yeah.
And now today, actually, I'm going to withdraw the charge of genocide of Ukraine. That's how much I don't want to accuse Israel of genocide.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It
that.
feels like you're afraid.
No, the other examples I would give, I would say absolutely there was genocidal intent. You did make me think about what was happening in Russia and Ukraine. And the reality is, as people know in that area, it is complicated because a lot of the people in the Donbass, for example, speak Russian, right? And some of them, a percentage of them, do identify as Russian and would quite like to go back to being Russian. So I think to use the word genocide about what Russia is doing there is the wrong term. And I shouldn't have used it.
So
I wasn't
are
aware
you
I had.
withdrawing it on Syria and Burma as well?
No, because I think they are definitely a genocidal intent. They're genocidal intent. What you want people to believe is that what Israel is doing, without any reference to October the 7th, they want to basically kill
Bashar
all
al-Assad would
Palestinians.
say exactly what Netanyahu says. He says, I'm fighting terrorists. They're hiding amongst civilians in Homs.
Let me ask you.
Assad uses the same...
Let me throw it back at you.
No. To quote you, this is my show. I've got limited time. I'm asking you questions. Bashar al-Assad would say exactly what Netanyahu says. He says, I'm fighting terror. I don't believe him and you don't believe him. We don't like Bashar al-Assad.
I don't.
We agree on Assad.
Yes.
But he would say exactly what Netanyahu says. I'm fighting terrorists who are hiding amongst civilians in Homs and I'm bombing them. I'm fighting a war of self-defense. You say genocidal. I say, yeah, maybe genocidal. Israel says Amalek. They say total annihilation. They say we're going to destroy Gaza. We're going to level it, etc. You say not genocidal. I just don't get it.
I don't think it is genocide, no.
Even though the facts say otherwise. Holocaust historians like Omar Bartov and Amos Goldberg, Arian Nair, some of the experts on Holocaust say it is a genocide.
Yeah, but a lot of experts say it's not a genocide.
That's not actually some of the leading Holocaust experts are all lining up in one direction.
You've got your experts. I've seen many other experts who say it's not genocide. So you can, look.
I just find it fascinating that you'll call every other conflict which has fewer deaths than Gaza genocide. But for some reason,
you're fewer deaths in Syria.
There were in February 2012, I checked.
Huh?
You said it was a genocide in February 2012. See, I do my homework. I checked. 7,500 people in Syria being killed at that point. You said genocide. 45,000 people in Gaza. You say not genocide.
Well, it comes down to what you think the intent is of the people perpetrating.
You don't think they're trying to erase northern Gaza right now?
I think what they're doing.
Are you seeing what's happening in northern Gaza?
Here's what I think they're doing. I think Israel genuinely believe what they're trying to do is eliminate Hamas, who they perceive to be a terrorist
I think you're
organization.
speaking on behalf of Israelis who aren't saying
Well,
that. They're making it very clear. It's not just about Hamas. They're seizing territory in Gaza. They're planning to, some of them are planning to resettle in Gaza, and right now, northern Gaza, according to the UN humanitarian chief, everyone is at risk of dying, Piers. Everyone. That's the words of the UN humanitarian chief.
Don't misunderstand me. I think what's happening in Gaza is horrific.
You just won't say genocide?
No. You asked me if it's genocide. I don't think it is. And you asked me if it's terrorism. I don't think it is. Do I think it's got unacceptable, the level of civilian death? Absolutely.
But you do think Netanyahu probably could end up at the ICC?
Do I think that they have no plan for the end of this? Absolutely. Do I think Netanyahu and the headbangers and his cabinet should go? Absolutely. Do I think Hamas should have any authority going forward? No. So there are lots of ways that we can try and
I know, but ultimately
history
history will judge where you were on this, and they'll say you were right on Iraq and you didn't really come on board on
And
Gaza.
I don't think they'll find that you were right about calling it terrorism or genocide.
Okay.
We'll see.
I hope you're right. Obviously, I don't want it to be a genocide, but it looks like one, sounds like one, walks like one. Just on last, I do want to talk about Donald Trump with you, but just on this topic, October 7th was bad enough. I think we can both agree. The kidnapping and killing of civilians, war crimes, without anyone having to exaggerate how bad it was. And yet, given the way a genocidal Israeli government, in my view, not yours, has used atrocity propaganda to try and justify the mass killing of Palestinians, especially Palestinian children. And the October the 7th, some would argue, even got as a Palestinian-American child killed in Illinois. There's an argument that that guy was infuriated by talk of beheaded babies, etc. Do you regret, Piers, a year later, having used your very big platforms, YouTube, Twitter, to spread that atrocity propaganda, to repeat the Israeli line uncritically, saying, and I quote, 40 babies being killed, some of them being beheaded?
Well, I never said, as people have tried to claim, that 40 babies got beheaded. Right? We do know that some babies were killed.
One.
We do know a baby was kidnapped. Well, I mean, what I find fascinating about this, when people start going on their Hamas defense.
That's not a Hamas
journey.
defense. We're journalists. We believe in facts. Right?
I know you did. But I also had Bassem Youssef on last week saying there was no sexual abusive.
Bassem Youssef can speak for himself. I'm asking you about 40 babies being killed, some of them being beheaded. Do you regret saying that as a journalist? You correct things when you're wrong.
As you know, well, I've already said this on my show. So had you done your research in the capable way you say you do, you would know that I've already said, yeah, it turned out that 40 babies were not killed.
That's weird because I've just checked this morning and all your tweets are still up saying that 40 babies were killed. So if you've corrected it.
I've said it on my show.
But your tweet, you have how many million followers do you have? I know you love talking about your followers.
A lot more than you.
Yeah, how many?
I think it's 8.8 million.
So 8.8 million, we could still see multiple
But they can watch my show.
Which show?
Piers Morgan uncensored.
But multiple shows. So you say you got it wrong and you apologise for getting it wrong.
Have
you apologised?
Let me be clear.
I'm just trying to get to the
facts. Let me be clear.
Okay.
Let me answer. Right? There was a report that said 40 babies had been beheaded.
Yeah.
People believed it in the moment. It turned out not to be true. I never actually said 40 babies had been beheaded, contrary to the avalanche of people who on a daily...
You passed it off as fact, Piers. Come on.
I didn't.
October 10th, talking to Joan Collins. This new revelation of 40 babies being killed, some of them being beheaded. How can any human being do that to a baby?
Right.
There's nothing in there that expresses any doubt.
Right, I didn't say 40 babies got beheaded.
You said 40 babies killed, some of them being beheaded. That's false.
Right.
None of them were beheaded.
Right, okay.
And you said it as fact.
Okay, but why are you defending Hamas?
That's your response. I'm not defending Hamas. I just started with Hamas did war crimes
babies killed?
on October the 2nd. Horrific, and they should all go to prison.
Were any babies killed?
Yes, children were killed. Yes.
Right, were any kidnapped?
But I'm wondering why you pushed an Israeli propaganda line.
Were any kidnapped?
Yes.
Okay.
Horrific, and I've condemned it, Piers.
Were any people beheaded?
I've condemned
Were any
it.
people beheaded?
I believe a Thai worker and maybe a soldier were, according
people
to
were
a video.
beheaded.
Yeah.
Okay, so babies were killed, babies were kidnapped, people were beheaded, right? And your position is you want to sit here and split hairs about
people died as a result of this, Piers. A kid was killed in Illinois by a guy who believed this stuff.
1,200 people got killed.
But you and I are not responsible for that, right? You and I are not responsible.
And nearly 7,000 got wounded.
You and I are not responsible for that.
You want to sit here and try and defend Hamas.
Where did I defend Hamas?
You are.
When?
You're trying to downplay and diminish what they did.
I literally started by saying, don't we both agree the kidnapping and killing of civilians are war crimes?
Right.
So how did I defend Hamas? That's a lie. You just lied.
Yeah, but are you suggesting that
I'm suggesting that as a journalist, you pushed something that was false. You should have corrected it and apologised.
Right. What did I push that was false?
Let me read a line. The new revelation of 40 babies being killed, some of them being beheaded.
Right.
40 babies were not killed, no babies were beheaded.
I never said 40 babies were beheaded.
But you said murdered. 40 babies were murdered. They weren't.
Right.
40 babies were not murdered.
It now turns out that not that many babies were murdered. No. Okay. In the fog of war, it turned out that was
And I just asked, my question was, do you regret saying that? That was my question. Instead you said you were defending Hamas. Come on, cliche.
So Hamas didn't kill quite as many babies.
And no, the Israeli government exaggerated what happened to justify their actual beheading of children in Gaza.
Actually, I think that when 8,200 people were either killed or wounded, it was very difficult for them to establish the truth for quite a few weeks. Okay. We now have a much clearer idea of what happened.
Do you believe the US and UK media are biased in favour of Israel?
Parts of them, yeah.
Why?
Why do I believe it?
No, why are they biased in favour of Israel?
I don't know. I have to ask them. I
mean, you've worked in it for decades. You've
worked
everywhere.
Awesome.
News of the world. I'm asking you. You are one of the most famous people in the British media.
What do you want me to say?
Why is the British media biased in favour of Israel?
What do you think I am?
I didn't ask that question.
What do you think I am?
I think you are, yes.
Why would I have so many Palestinian guests on?
You tell me.
If I genuinely am biased and don't want to have their say being given.
You have this very black and white view of the world, Piers.
Why would I have you on?
You could be biased towards Israel.
You're one of the most partisan guests I've ever had on my show.
Piers, am I pro-Palestinian? Am I pro-Palestinian?
Of course.
So why do I have you on then? This is a ridiculous argument. Just because you have guests on from the other side doesn't mean
actually
you
does.
don't. No, it doesn't, because then I'm not pro-Palestinian according to your logic.
No, of course you're pro-Palestinian.
All right. Am I pro-Trump? Am I pro-Trump?
If you're trying to,
I've got you on today.
If you're trying to categorise me,
it's a very strange argument. Look, you spent half an hour in July badgering me over the Democrats supposedly calling Trump Hitler, even though it was J.D. Vance who said that. How do you feel about the recent revelations from General John Kelly, Trump's chief of staff, Marine general, a Republican, not a Democrat, who said Trump praised Hitler, said he'd like to have had Hitler's generals. His former top general, Mark Milley, said he's a fascist to the core. Doesn't that bother you? You are the grandson of a British World War II hero. You have Trump praising Hitler, quoting from Mein Kampf. That doesn't bother you?
Look, he's not the new Hitler.
That's not what I asked.
Don't do the straw man. Running a bunch of Nazis.
That's not a straw man.
Generals are entitled to their view, but they're not always right. I mean,
so they're lying, are they?
I don't think Trump's a fascist. Sorry.
Are they lying?
I know you do.
Are they lying? When he says he praised Hitler, are they lying?
I think they're wrong. That he's a fascist.
No. Look at the invasion. You make a great politician, Piers.
I wasn't in the room.
So General John Kelly's lying.
Hang on. Other people who were in the room dispute that that's what Trump said.
So multiple people over the years have talked about Trump's quotes. They're all lying. All the officials who've all turned on him. Hold on, I just want to go through the list. Mark Milley, Mark Esper, John Kelly, Jim Mattis. They're all lying.
I don't know. Nor do you.
I think Occam's razor says if everyone who worked with them, almost everyone said we can't endorse them again, then we should take their word for it. The people who know him better than you.
The bottom line is, do I think he's well, they don't know, probably don't know him better than me, actually.
But they worked with him, they do.
Do I think Donald Trump is a fascist? No, I don't. Do I think he's a neo-Nazi running a bunch of neo-Nazis? No, I don't.
So when he says,
and
well,
I think
it's not just
and
me.
by the way, I think that view is nuts.
Really? So Robert
Yes.
Paxton,
I think
America's
you're nuts for thinking he's a new Nazi.
Robert Paxton is America's preeminent scholar of fascism, historian at Columbia University Emeritus. He said, I don't think Trump's a fascist. For 4 years, people exaggerating stuff. Now he says, yeah, actually,
I think,
he is a fascist. And
honestly,
by the way, you know why? Because you love to talk in the air, Piers. Facts. This is what he's saying and doing. He says, I'll terminate the Constitution. I'll be a dictator.
Why didn't he in the first 4 years?
Because you had Jim Mattis and John Kelly who won't be there.
Oh, I see.
He said, I'll terminate the Constitution, and he didn't have Supreme Court immunity, which he has now. He says, you won't have to vote for me if you vote in 4 years. I'll put the National Guard, he said to Maria Bartiromo the other day, against the enemy within, against Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff. You're not supportive of that, right? You don't support the National Guard being
Not
used.
as that's who he was talking about.
He said the enemy within.
But if he was talking about using the military to break up rioting, I think most Americans would say, well, yeah, he's got a point.
It's funny because he's the one who did the rioting last time when you said you were done with it.
But what did you, out of interest, the Black Lives Matter rioting, what was your view of that?
The vast majority of black protesters were peaceful. 94%.
What about the rioting?
The rioting, they were arrested. In fact, they were prosecuted in many ways much worse than the January 6th votes.
Out of interest, what is the difference about using, say, police or military for breaking up rioting?
Huge difference. You don't
We've
think,
used
you don't think
military-
an American president
we've
using
used-
the military against...
We have used military in the UK.
He wanted to
for
use
breaking
military
up
against
rioting.
peaceful protesters. You know
We've
this,
used
right?
military to break up
Do you
rioting.
support shooting protesters in the legs? That's what Mark
Stupid
Esper,
question.
that's what Donald Trump asked Mark Esper.
My question for you is...
Hold on, Piers. No, you don't get to ask me
what is
questions.
the
Remember, I just came from your show.
What is the big problem?
You're gonna
between
answer my question.
What is the problem between using armed police and military to break up rioting? Out of interest, I'm curious.
I'm going to
What's
answer
the
your question
distinction?
with the question I
What's
asked
the
him and ask it
distinction?
again. When Donald Trump says to Mark Esper, shoot them in the legs, do you support that behaviour? Because you say he's not a fascist. When he's saying shoot them in the legs.
I don't think anyone should be shot in the legs unless they're
But
terrorists.
Trump said that to Mark Esper.
Right.
Oh, Esper's lying, right?
I don't know.
Oh, what a great journalist you are. When it comes to Trump, all your faculties
Say
disappear.
something nice about Trump.
You first.
Go on.
What do you want to say nice about
Say
Trump?
something positive about
Why
Trump.
would I
One
say
thing he's ever done was good.
Why would I say that?
Because you can't.
I can say it.
You can't.
I have said it.
You can't.
But I'm not going to play this game where a fascist, I need to contextualize the fascism. Hitler made the trains run on time. No, I'm not going to play
You
this
literally, in
ridiculous
my
game.
show earlier, you said that what happened at the Madison Square Garden last night, which I was there for the 6 hours, first rally I've attended. You said it was literally like a Nazi-style rally.
Do you not
And
think
when
so?
you say something like that, Mehdi, I've got a lot of respect for you. I think you're
Yeah.
a great broadcaster. I think it's such horseshit.
So I have
And
a,
I think it's
so I have a lot
where
of
you're disingenuous. You know it is.
No,
you
no,
know
you
it's-
do.
You
That's why
know
you
they're
don't.
not neo-Nazis.
So Piers,
you know the
I didn't
Nazis
say they were neo-Nazis.
murdered 12
Nice
million
try,
people.
nice try.
You know that he's not Adolf Hitler, but you're quite happy
Nice
for
try.
this Nazi bullshit.
Nice try.
And when Kamala Harris loses,
Keep going.
it will be because the left have over-demonized him,
So
as they always do.
by the way, it wasn't me who called him a monster. That was you. So you
He
demonized
behaved
him.
in a monstrous manner.
And now you're fine with him.
Yeah.
He didn't apologise, didn't regret, hasn't changed his behaviour, but Piers is fine with him now.
I
Weird.
changed my view occasionally.
Why?
You should try
Based
it.
on what,
You
though?
should try it.
The viewers are waiting. Based on what? What did Trump do to win you back?
I think
Let me start with the move that decided this whole debate, because it's a masterclass in how you actually win an argument, not with volume, with a timeline. Mehdi Hasan doesn't come in swinging insults. He comes in with a chain of dates. 2015, Obama signs the JCPOA. Iran's enrichment capped at 3.67%. Signed off by the U.S. State Department, backed by the British government of the day. Cameron, Gove's own side. 274 international inspectors walking Iranian nuclear facilities every single day. The program under a microscope. Then 2018. Trump tears the deal up. And Mehdi drops the detail that turns this from opinion into indictment. Trump's own defense secretary, James Mattis, said, "Don't do it. It's working." He did it anyway. Result, Iran enriching at 60%, 400 kilograms of it, inspectors gone, uranium missing. The entire crisis built by one man throwing away a working document. That's not a hot take. That's a paper trail. And here's why that timeline is lethal. It can't be answered with a slogan. Gove tries anyway. Watch it. He can't touch the 3.67 number, so he swerves. It's the choice of a regime that hangs gay men from cranes. And this is where Mehdi springs the cleanest trap of the night. Have you ever spoken out against the exact same treatment in Saudi Arabia? Gove's answer is the whole game in 4 words. But there are allies. So Mehdi asks the obvious follow-up. Should we bomb Saudi Arabia then? And now watch the goalpost physically move. Suddenly, it's not about gay people anymore. Now it's about Saudi Arabia not threatening to wipe out Israel. Mehdi catches it mid-flight. You moved the goalpost. Just now it was gay people. Pick one. Gove can't pick one, because neither one was ever a real argument. They were both just clubs to swing at an opponent. I want to be precise about this, because it's the tell that runs through every pro-war performance like this one. The human rights argument only comes out when it's useful. Iran's abuses are real. Nobody sane disputes them. And Mehdi says so directly, he calls Iran a country with horrible human rights abuses that shouldn't have a nuclear weapon. That's the point. He grants it fully, which strips Gove of his only escape route. Because once you admit Iran is repressive, the question isn't, is Iran bad? Everyone agrees it's bad. The question is whether tearing up the inspections regime and dropping bombs made anything safer. And on that, Gove has nothing but the word of a NATO Secretary General and a former Dutch Prime Minister who, as Mehdi puts it, texts Trump in all caps. That's the caliber of evidence propping up a war. Then comes the fact that should stop anybody cold, and it's the one your title is built around. Except the scorched earth here isn't only Mehdi's, it's the room's. An audience member stands up, looks at Gove, and reminds him that during this very conflict, Israeli strikes hit an Iranian prison and killed more than 50 people. And among them were members of the LGBTQ community Gove had just been posturing about 30 seconds earlier. Let that land. He picked up gay Iranians as a rhetorical weapon, and someone in that audience handed it back to him covered in the blood of the exact people he claimed to be defending. There is no recovering from that. And notice, the moderator has to move it along, because there's no answer. There is no sentence Michael Gove can say after that. Now let me bring this all the way down to the ground, because this is where it stops being a debate club scoreboard and starts being real. Mehdi does the thing Gove refuses to do. He names the numbers that have actual bodies attached. Yemen, Gaza, Iran, residential apartment buildings blown up, car bombs going off in a capital city, 50 people dead in a single prison strike. When Gove says, look at the consequences, not the morality, Mehdi turns that exact standard around on him. Fine, let's look at the consequences. They're counted in dead civilians. The professor of realpolitik wants to talk consequences right up until the consequences are corpses, and then suddenly it's back to abstractions about the morally compromised world leaders operate in. That's the dodge. Consequences matter when they're Iran's enrichment percentage. They vanish when they're a family in a flattened apartment building. And here's the deeper thing Mehdi exposes, the part that matters for you specifically. He points out that Gove doesn't actually care about the Iranian people. He uses them as a prop. And he's got the receipt for that too. Gove claimed Iranians were joyous about the attacks. But Narges Mohammadi, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, an actual Iranian dissident who was in an Iranian prison, came out and said, no. The real opposition, the people who've suffered most under that regime, said we do not want our freedom delivered on the back of American and Israeli bombs. So the very people Gove claims to speak for are telling him to stop speaking for them. That's the difference between caring about a people and using a people. One listens to them. The other puts words in their mouth to sell a war. Follow the thread underneath all of it, and you find the same machine that's always running. Wars don't get sold to working people on honest ledgers. They get sold on moral theater. The crane, the tyrant, the they hate our values. Precisely because the honest ledger doesn't close. The honest ledger says a working diplomatic deal existed. One man torched it for spite because his predecessor's name was on it. And now there are more centrifuges, fewer inspectors, missing uranium, and fresh graves. Nobody funds that story with the truth. So they reach for the crane. And the bill. The higher instability, the next deployment, the money that doesn't go to your hospital or your kid's school, lands on the people who never got a vote in any of it. So here's where it lands. Gove came in as the grown-up in the room, the man of consequences and hard realism. And he lost. Not because Mehdi was louder, but because every single load-bearing beam of his position was rotten. The timeline was against him. The Saudi hypocrisy was against him. The prison strike was against him. The actual Iranian dissidents were against him. His own party's former foreign secretary, William Hague, wrote that this action makes a bomb more likely, not less. When your own side, the inspectors, the Nobel laureate, and the arithmetic are all telling you the same thing, you don't have an argument. You have a slogan and a crane, 3.67%. Trump tore it up. Mattis said don't. The uranium is missing and the inspectors are gone. Those are the facts, in order, and no amount of moral theater moved a single one of them. If you believe the people selling you, the next war should at least be able to survive a timeline. Subscribe to The Honest Perspective. We keep the receipts in order. We read them out loud. And we don't let anyone use a dead man as a prop and walk away clean. I'm Neil. A working deal, torched for spite. Everything after that was just someone trying to sell you the fire. That's The Honest Perspective, and that's where I'll leave you.